talking to me here about maths.
Yeah.
Like, this is where I'm absolutely... In 2010, they were worth 500 million. But I know by about 2011, 2012, they were scrabbling for money.
Has a criminal ever tried to buy your silence?
I am literally, if you knew me, the last person in the world that should be saying this. It just wouldn't have been something I ever thought.
I wasn't expecting you to say that.
No.
Nicola, so you have one of the country's most popular podcasts. You're an author. You've sold out shows in the Olympia Theatre. And now the Sunday world is crime world. So I'm going to assume that you're earning a lot more money than you were, say, 10 years ago. And I'm wondering, has lifestyle creep crept in?
What's lifestyle creep?
Lifestyle creep is when your income rises, but your lifestyle rises alongside it. So you start earning more, but suddenly you start going for, I don't know, triple ply toilet paper rather than double ply. Or you just start treating yourself to, you go a little bit, it's a slightly better watch, a slightly better holiday, but it's so incremental you almost don't see it.
Yeah. I think probably all human beings, I think that whatever money you have, you live the lifestyle, do you, to that? Yeah. And I suppose certainly I'm earning more money than I was 10 years ago, than I was 20 years ago. Actually, I've had a kind of an up and down when it comes to earning money. There's been times in my career that I earned a lot more money than I would have earned later. Journalism is quite peculiar, especially if you're freelancing. You know, there was better rates back, you know, in the days when there was a lot of newspaper sales, there was a lot of money there. I actually had a news agency, an independent news agency, had a very good time then. And when I kind of came back into a job, I sort of dipped. But you have to kind of look at the securities of the job then and weigh it all up. But lifestyle creep, yes, definitely. I think I also have two pretty expensive daughters, and they weren't as expensive 10 years ago when they were smaller. Yeah. But everything seems to be super expensive, and you know, they like a little bit of designer and a little bit of this and a little bit of that. You know, can't get away with dressing them out of pennies anymore. So all of that, I think whatever you earn, you do definitely increase your lifestyle, your holidays, your car probably, and all the rest of it. Does that mean to say that we always end up in the same zone, really?
This is why they say we have to watch it, because you can end up in the same place that you were before, and sometimes just even in debt. Paper. With a fantastic loo paper, luxurious. At least there's that. But are you good with money in general?
I would have always been, I suppose you'd call it good with money. I only spend what I have. I don't tend to borrow. I pay all my bills, and once everybody's paid and everyone's looked after, whatever's left, then I'll enjoy.
Okay.
So I don't tend to go into debt. Never really built up credit cards, debts, that kind of thing. If I had a loan, I'd prefer it paid off. Obviously, a mortgage I have and will have for the rest of my days, I imagine. But apart from that, I don't like owing. I wouldn't lie straight in bed at night if I owed money to somebody. I'd nearly get up in the middle of the night and log on and pay somebody if I'd forgotten to. Yeah. A bit fussy about that.
Did that come from a parent?
Probably did, yeah, it probably did. I suppose I would have been a child of the 1980s when things were tough. You wouldn't remember those days when people were beaten senseless for leaving immersions on and things like that. We always had more than enough, but I think I probably would have, the home would have always been the same. You know, everybody got paid, everyone's bills were paid. There was never kind of a big financial crisis. Which was good as a comfortable way to be, I think. Yeah.
And what about now? Do you have a financial advisor?
No, I don't have any. I'd love a financial advisor.
Sounds like I'm trying to sell it to you here.
Yeah, if there's anybody out there listening to this that would like to advise me, I take advice from all different places. Not really. I mean, I have two strands. I have a job, essentially in Media House, and then I have my own company and my own bits. So I do use sort of accountants and things like that for that. But as regards financial, no, I kind of tend to do all my own stuff, sometimes badly on contracts and things like that. I've screwed up a few times, but you live and learn.
Do you mean in terms of the negotiation?
Yeah, well, maybe even just I would be a bit flaky with documents. I'd just want to sign it and trust whoever I was dealing with, and you know, you come a cropper a little bit if you're like that. I could do with somebody just keeping an eye out for me.
Yes, yeah. You mentioned the news agency there. So you would have been pretty young when you set that up.
I think I would have been about 26 or 27. Yes, I would have been about 26, I think, or 27. And it was in 1999. So it's set up, and within months there was a couple of things that happened. There was a few very big celebrity weddings happening in Ireland at the time.
So was there Luttrells? No.
There would have been certainly one of the Spice Girls got married.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Which now,
Luttrell's Town.
They were always knocking around as well. Pierce Brosnan got married, I think, in one of the castles as well, and then Paul McCartney in and around that kind of time. And they were big sellers because we were largely working for the UK newspapers. There was a lot of tabloids then, you know, and they would have paid a lot of money for those kind of stories and bits and bobs out of them. And then 9/11 happened. So that came pretty quickly. And that was like, okay, what are we going to do now? Because it just seemed like the whole world was focused on New York. But of course, one of the first victims that actually emerged had been on one of the planes, I think, that hit the Pentagon, was an Irish lady. And we managed to get, I think, an interview with a family member and a photograph of her. She died tragically with her small child. And that just, you know, story went out across the world then. And, you know.
That's incredible, though, 26, that you had the foresight to do that, but also that you had to go out and negotiate them with various like news agency platforms to sell a story like a dozen times. Yeah,
it was actually a really good learning thing to do in journalism, because you could see exactly what would sell. You know, it's one way of it. You would know exactly what time of day to drop a story, where to send stuff. We would have also got big contracts. At times, some of the UK papers decided they'd drop a load of newspapers into Ireland because it would up their overall sale cheaper than if they tried to push in the UK. So they might give us a 4-month contract to write a couple of stories, you know, a day, kind of, which would have been very easy. But that paid a lot of money. I mean, we earned a lot of money at that stage. And we did it for about 3 years, I think, or thereabouts. I did it actually longer than that. What am I talking about? Did it up until 2007.
Yeah.
Now, I've told you that all wrong, have I?
No, not at all.
Because I wasn't in it that long, was I? 2001,
2008.
You're talking to me here about maths.
Yeah.
Like, this is where I'm absolutely like bottom of the class.
I can't get over people who know everything that happened in a year. I've friends like that, and they're like, "Oh no, that would have been like 97." And
Some
I'm like,
people have great memories, but then I get mixed up with figures there because I just don't know whether I had. Maybe it was going that long, 7 years with it. Maybe it was that long.
And it was mainly lifestyle and celebrity, was it?
It's a bit of that. Crime. Still.
Crime was in it?
I would have done a bit of crime because I had the crime contact. So, you know, we did a bit of that. We did a bit of everything, really. I can't believe, but maybe it was that long that it was going, you know. You know, when you look back, you kind of go, seriously, did I do it for that long? It was 2007, I know. I certainly came back into, or just early 2008, I took a job in the Sunday World. I had had my second child, and it just felt like the right time. We'd actually gone away on a holiday to Sardinia. I had accepted the contract with the Sunday World to come back into full-time kind of employment, and we landed back in Ireland and the recession was announced. And I thought, wow, my timing was pretty good there.
Yeah, pretty nice.
It was, because everything would have gone very difficult, you know.
Yeah. So tell me about moving into crime, where crime became your absolute bread and butter. Did it feel like the right segue for you, or was there any part of you that was thinking, can I do this?
No, I always had done crime from the beginning of my journalism days. I'd always done crime, and throughout my time as with my own company, I had done a lot of crime stuff as well. And then when I came in full time into the Sunday World, it's crime. So I liked coming back in. Actually, it felt like coming in out of the cold. I'd had this sort of very you know, you were just chasing the money all the time when you're working for yourself, and then to pay people, and it's kind of hard go. You take a holiday, and you come back, and you're trying to catch up, and
that's it. You're not paid a penny.
It's all all those kind of things go on, and then you do worry in case the work dries up and stuff. But when I came back in full time to work in the Sunday World, I remember meeting Neil Leslie for lunch. We did the deal, and I walked away going, I'm a fraud, because I remember he said to me, we'd only expect about like 12 splashes, which is a front page story, out of you a year. And I was walking away going, I'd never be able to do one of them. Oh my God, how am I going to do this? Like, it just felt like, so when you're looking in, how did they get those stories? How did they do them? But then you just sort of fall into it.
Yeah.
So that was then full time from then on,
Mm-hmm. Tell me about the criminals that you investigate and that you cover. And I'm curious, like, do any Irish criminals have a particularly extravagant lifestyle?
Oh, loads of them.
Yeah.
They all do. It's a little bit like it's funny. The money you talk about that they have is all in the ether. It's never really in their hands. They're always in debt or in credit, or they're owed, or they owe money. Vast amounts of it. And of course, some of it does end up in their hands, and then they'll spend it like mad on items that you wouldn't think of ever buying in your lifetime, But it's the weirdest thing, really, because they can do a lifetime in organised crime, and at the end of it, 20 years, say, down the road, they can have nothing. I mean, nothing. They're still in probably the council house they started out in, and if they're not in the business anymore, they've nothing. They've absolutely nothing to show for it. I don't know where it goes.
Yeah.
And they talk about the economy of organised crime. And yes, it is an economy in itself, but sort of a mid-range, I suppose, a kind of a big enough drug dealer, say, in Ireland, will be either 100, 300,000 in debt or in credit. But one loss of a drug shipment or something, and they can be absolutely, I mean, you talk about getting into financial difficulties in the real world. The financial difficulties they get into are just unbelievable. It's threat of death, of murder. All of a sudden, they might have to go on the run. They might have to provide accommodation for themselves. They might have to be looking after their families, the security, everything. The money just is, it's so difficult to actually pin it down where it is at any one time. Because some of it is in their pockets, most of it isn't.
Yeah.
It's just out there. It's owed, or it's due, or it's, it's coming, or else it's in Bitcoin, or it's whatever. Now, I suppose if you're in Bitcoin, it's fairly real. I still have never got my head around that. Mm-hmm. But it's an intriguing world, like, and, then the big guys can be got, like the likes of the Kinahans. I mean, in 2010, they were worth 500 million. I don't know how that was ever added up or where it ever came from. But I know by about 2011, 2012, they were scrabbling for money.
Yeah.
So it's bizarre.
So none of them have state savings or pensions?
Of course not, no. And the other thing, of course, which people forget is there isn't an insurance policy. So if someone does get shot dead, they may have been living this extravagant lifestyle, but the family are left behind with nothing.
Yeah.
Literally hoping that there's a few friends out there who might, look after them for a little while, but they can be left with nothing at all.
Have you ever come across one that's a little bit more prudent or long-sighted, who actually does have a pension or kind of traditional saving or investment?
Well, there's actually a guy called George the Penguin Mitchell, who's a very significant player on the international scene. He's probably really as big as Christy Kinahan, lesser known. He drives a Nissan Micra. He has a 2-bed sort of flat in Spain, and he moves around a bit, but he's a real skinflint. He'd know where his communion money was, and he has invested in various things, and he's money probably all over the world and everything. But he's said to be quite tight,
Okay.
Quite tight. You'd buy around. You'd buy your round back, his gin and tonic or whatever it is he likes. I know people who've known him. He's certainly generous, very generous within his family, but outside of that, it's, do you know these rich people who are rich because They don't put their hand in their pocket
There's
too
plenty
much,
of them.
isn't there?
Yeah, they tend to be old money as well, I find.
Yeah,
it seems to be kind of handed down, that kind of thinking, handed down through
Frugal or
generations.
something.
Yeah, absolutely. Has a criminal ever tried to buy your silence?
No.
Okay.
Offered of money, like?
Yeah.
No, never. I've never been offered money. Don't think I've ever been offered money.
Yeah.
They're usually looking for money. There's still a lot of them living in the old world when maybe media had money to pay for stories, and you just laugh at them now. Like, I mean, there isn't a tenner to give to somebody for a story these days.
Yeah. There's more of that, I find, these days. More people asking for money to do interviews in general. Just seems to be the world. I think it's just hustle culture.
Probably.
And because everyone has a social media presence and there's a price on that.
But I mean, the thing is, with people involved in crime, the money is so unreal to them that even if, just say, for example, you were doing some sort of a deal on something, not that you would be with a criminal, obviously you wouldn't be paying, but if you were, they're looking for an amount of money which is just so off the scale, because that's the kind of money they deal in.
Yes.
You know? I mean, even the Christmas presents for kids and stuff, they
tell me
spend
everything.
thousands and thousands, like eye-watering amount of money. And even maybe they wouldn't have it at the time, but they still have to spend this certain amount of money.
Where do they go? Would they go to like F.O. Schwartz in New York? Would it be that level?
Like, yeah, no, some of them wouldn't be like sophisticated like that, but it would be like really, really expensive things and really expensive holidays. And I always found it intriguing, say, you know, those that are working like as a hitman or something like that. So they're carrying out a murder to earn a living, which is horrendous. And they would get an amount of money for that, say 100,000. They'll get the 100,000 and they will maybe book a holiday that costs 30,000.
Yeah.
So it's a baffling economy, really. And then they'll give money. A lot of them are giving money. They're looking after larger, wider families, and the money's all handed out. And the girlfriend might get 5 or 10 grand to go into Brown Thomas or something. And all of a sudden, the 100 grand is down to 7 grand. Like, if you were actually earning a wage over a year of 100 grand, you'd budget. These people do not budget. And they're back to square one. You know, they're back to square one. And all of a sudden, and in the case of a hitman, you got to take up a gun and kill someone else.
How much does a hitman get paid these days? What's the going rate?
I don't know what the going rate is now. It depends on the you know, on who it is, who's paying. But there certainly have been figures, depending on who it is, anything from 20,000 to 200.
Okay.
Depending
the Catherine Nevin hitman, that figure came out at the time. I
How
just
much
can't
was
recall. That's it. I'm trying to
Tiny
recall.
amount, was it?
It was, I remember thinking, my word, that, like to take that risk.
Yeah, well, you see, some will, depending again on their caliber, where they are in the. Some people they owe money, you know, so they'll do something like that to try and kill a debt. And then there's the very high end ones who are international hitmen for hire, and they are top of their game, and they're very.
It's the jackal level.
Yeah. So they command the big figures.
Yeah. Do you know what I'm fascinated by? I think we all are fascinated by it these days. The Wilson's auctions, where items seized by cab come up for auction. So it's like your Rolex watches, your Birkin bags and all the rest of it. Yeah. Do you ever have a look? Do you ever look through the
I
lots?
always look through them. Absolutely. I'm always saying, even on the podcast coming up to Christmas, get out there, get your Christmas presents in.
Yeah.
I mean, the stuff is like, you know, I actually don't really particularly like any of those things. I think they're kind of crude. You know, you'll see these shoes that are, you know, worth hundreds and hundreds of, and they might have about 50 pairs of them, you know, of Louboutins or something like that. How can you ever wear that amount of them? The handbags, often the ones that are seized, by the way, are faker bakers, and they're handed back.
Go on.
So the Criminal Assets Bureau detectives, who are trained Gardaí, have now, you could bring them with you if you were going buying somewhere, because they know the real from the fake. They've got to used to it. So a lot of them are going around with fake stuff now. A lot of them aren't as well. They are going around with the real deal. But those auctions, I mean, there's watches, and I have an Apple Watch.
Yeah.
I've never had a particularly expensive watch. I don't have any particularly expensive jewellery or things. I don't have really expensive things.
I don't know if I'd buy something from I like a few of the bits that I've seen. But I don't know if I'd buy from an auction like that, because it's just the kind of, now might be a bit kind of esoteric, the energetic weight of it, you know, like who owned it and the story attached
What's
to it.
gone
It's not,
on, yeah.
the backs, it's not particularly, and then it ultimately was seized out of someone's home.
And maybe that's why I find it all a little bit crude, the stuff. I find it just a bit, it's not for me, like.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's bargains to be had, and there's also bargains to be had in the houses that are, you know, seized and sold.
Yes.
Because a lot of people maybe wouldn't be comfortable buying a house that belonged to somebody high profile.
Yeah.
And they get a bargain, like, but, you know, if you're an investor, you know, really, no one's going to come back and knock on the door and order you out. They've walked away at that stage, so.
Yeah. Do you like a bargain in general?
Yeah, I suppose I do. Yeah, I do. But I usually end up, like, you know, if I think I'm getting, it's usually I'm just thinking of those, you know, very expensive creams I buy and stuff. You know, and if you spend this certain amount, you get a free travel kit or something. I'll always get stung on those.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I've dropped about 600 quid and I'm going home with some moisturiser, you know, and a free bag, which I didn't need in the first place.
Do you ever use Cult Beauty? They're the worst for it and the best.
No, I use the Element stuff.
It's
and
just the giveaways are just
and
you're just like, okay, and then the next thing you've bought 3 of the same product.
Ridiculous, unnecessary, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think we all like a bargain as well, don't we? You know, if you fit into something that's in a sale or that looks... I do like, you know, I like clothes and I like few handbags. I don't need 20 of them.
Yeah.
But I don't like the real bling stuff.
So understated, no labels, no kind of...
And if you look at some of the Wilson's auctions, there is a lot of big, huge
it's
badges
logomania
across everything, Machino and whatever else, you know.
Yeah. What about general household bills? Do you keep on top of them? Do you switch? Do you look at your, say, health insurance every year? And
No.
Okay.
No, bad at all that. I would have a broker that does all my sort of insurance and stuff, so I just let them at that. They will come back to me if there's a better offer. I'll take that. No, I don't. I'm not pernickety. The money seems to come in and just goes back out. It's like being a human ATM machine. And maybe I'll think about that lifestyle creep you were giving me the fear about that now. But
what about life insurance? Do you have it? And I'm curious, do you have to pay more than the average person because of the line of work you're in?
I just have the mortgage insurance, but I don't have a life insurance policy. I don't think now I could. I probably have a little one somewhere. I don't know. I don't attend to these things or pensions, or I'm sort of in a little bit of a head in the sand as regards all of that stuff at the moment.
Okay.
Maybe when it comes nearer.
Yeah. I'm hearing you don't like admin, you don't like filling in forms.
Exactly.
You don't like... So...
I'd pay someone to do all of that stuff for me.
And that's why I'd like to ask, how did you get through the divorce then? Because that's a lot of form filling. I'd probably stay with somebody if it meant I didn't have to fill in.
Well, yeah, that is... Yeah,
a lot of all those forms.
Listen, I'm just reading all the time at the moment about people who are divorcing and separating and have to stay in the same home.
Stop.
That's horrendous. It's horrendous. I don't know how they can manage that. Like, I'm separated a long, long time. So I suppose our biggest asset was the house. So that had to be, you know, go through the divorce, and it had to be divided, and the finances had to be sort of looked after on both sides. And we managed to get there in the end. But I mean, it is an absolute, like, and the longer you take before you get to that, you know, I see people now, people I know, and they're separated. The most expensive time is when you're separated before you actually cut the cord, because you've basically got a whole second income coming out of what was the one household income. You know, if someone else is renting or whatever.
Yes.
And all of a sudden there's another $4,000 going on that a month, and everything has to be bought twice. The kids do really well out of it, by the way.
Yes.
They double up on holidays, presents, everything.
Yeah.
They've nothing to complain about.
And any advice for anyone going through it now from a financial point of view? Anything that you'd say like you wish you had it done or something you could have done better?
I think it is a car crash, like it is really. But you know, at the same time, if you really don't want to be in the marriage, the best place for you is not to be in it. So that'll cost some money to get out of it. But you can go on and build back up again, you know. I do think that if people make a decision, you know, and it takes the two to make the decision that you want to separate, the quicker the better. I know people who've done it really well and they have literally agreed amongst themselves and then just had, you know, used mediation and had that just signed off then into legal documents. That seems to be absolutely the best, painless and least expensive way to do it. But I just feel sorry for anybody going through it. It really is a long, hard process.
Yeah.
It's a hard time in your life.
Yeah, yeah. You've always struck me as someone who's very, very much able to reinvent. And, you know, you seem to be very open to reinvention all the time. And I'm wondering, do you think that made it slightly easier for you to go through the divorce process because you were open to a new life and a new chapter?
Probably, yeah. I hadn't thought about that, but maybe, yeah. I do like constantly changing and moving and thinking ahead and, you know, what can I do? I mean, bear in mind, when I started out in journalism, I started out writing in newspapers, end of.
Yeah.
So the only thing you had to give was your name. And of course, the only people really who read the name was the other journalists. Like really, you know, you would think that everybody would see her. They wouldn't. And then it just, the job has evolved to such an extent now that you have to do a bit of everything. But I quite like that. And I like change and I like kind of moving with the times. I definitely do. I mean, I'd never have thought ever that I would be bringing organised crime to the stage in a live show. That's been the weirdest thing actually I've done, I'd say. And it's been very successful and it sort of, you have to manage to negotiate it. People are out to be entertained, but you have to, it's a kind of a balancing act to do that, but to kind of also bring back in a little bit of the seriousness of it and always bear in mind the victims of crime and all the rest of it. But yeah, I mean, if somebody told me way back that you'd be standing on the Olympia stage, you know, doing a live show, I would have just thought you were daft.
Yeah. Isn't that so exciting?
So
you just never know what's around
These
the corner.
opportunities come up. I tend to actually, if opportunities come up, I tend to just try them, see how it goes.
So you'd always say yes, for the most part?
Probably to my detriment sometimes.
Yeah.
I do tend to say yes. But I think no matter what you do, other doors open. And if you put yourself a little bit out of your comfort zone sometimes, you find a new little place that you like to be.
Did you say yes immediately to Living with Lucy?
Not immediately.
Okay.
Not immediately. But I eventually did say yes to that. And I like her a lot. I only knew her from the television.
Yeah.
And actually, now that we had our little weekend together, I'd say we'll be lifelong friends. We got on great. But I kind of like that show. I don't think they're out to get you. I think it's Adair Productions make it. They're very professional, brilliant. And they're not trying to trick you or trying to bring you somewhere that you don't want to be. Like, it was weird because, like, from the beginning I sort of said to them, I don't know how you're going to do Living with Lucy with me, because you won't have the family, you won't have my friends, you know, you won't be able to see the outside of my house. So, you know, if you think it's still something you can do.
Yeah.
And they did, and you know, they got a few laughs along the way.
Yeah.
So it was really good. It was an interesting thing to do. Again, something I never thought I'd do, but it was a bit of fun.
Why do you think crime journalism these days has become, or is crime journalism lucrative?
Probably not. If you were going out to start a career, no, I wouldn't think so. Actually, not at all. Probably. I had a phone call the other day from somebody about a big case that was missed in Galway because the only reporter from the courts was on holiday at the time. Okay. So, you know, a lot of it is depleted. There isn't people in doing the courts, and if they are, they're probably scraping a living, are they? Crime journalists, you don't really employ crime journalists. You never really see an actual advert for a crime journalist usually. They evolve within journalism, those that are stupid enough maybe to do it.
What would you say to your daughters if they wanted to get into journalism?
if they really wanted to go for it, because it is a fabulous, entertaining, interesting career that has certainly brought me places I never thought I'd go. But I don't think it is necessarily the best place to earn a lot of money, is it? Because no matter what, we were talking about this earlier, you can kind of reach the very top of your game early on, but you stay there. There's nowhere else to go, really. And I think that's everywhere. You can move in a bit to TV, you can do a bit of this and a bit of that, but you kind of have to do a bit of everything. You have to do a little bit of everything. There's no one thing that's going to make you an absolute fortune. Nothing. The books, the shows, TV, film, nothing. You just need to keep doing a bit of everything. Keep the balls juggling in the air and keep a few things on the go all the time.
Do you have a 5-year plan?
I did have. I must sit down and do another one. Yeah.
And how did the last 5-year plan go? Did you tick a lot of boxes?
Did actually, yeah. I ended up bizarrely doing life coaching as a favour to somebody because their friend was doing their masters in it, and could I be the kind of the guinea pig, basically. So I said I would, and I did it, and it was absolutely fabulous. It was one of the best things I ever did. I never thought it was going to be something for me, but I did it with Vicky McFadden. She was so good. We got on very well. I didn't realise it's about your personal life as well as your finances and your career. So it's about a bit of everything and finding the balance between everything. So your 5-year plan, or my 5-year plan at the time, was all about finding the balance, taking your head out of work, but when you had your head in work, making it work better for you.
Okay.
So start trying to focus on stuff that is has longevity in it, I suppose. Trying to do, I think I had actually, just after I was with Vicky, I did the book The Witness, and then went on to do the podcast on that. And that was a really good thing to do. It opened loads more doors, and I've done loads of books since, actually. I hadn't done a book in years before that. I'd sort of been stuck in this
firefighting mode.
Just literally, yeah.
Yeah, you can get there.
I wonder, is it an age thing or something? And
I think it's just a journalist thing. I just think we're wired slightly differently. And you're different gravy to me. Do you know what I mean? But would have something of the same kind of thinking. I just think we're sort of wired in a kind of an ADHD slightly.
Oh, I think
There's
so
so
too,
many who are like that. So you can't help but just be. You get obsessed with the article you're on, and then you're immediately bored, and you're on to the next one.
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
And you're not thinking long term.
No, you're not. Exactly. And you don't have much of a business brain, really, or certainly if you do have one, you're not activating it. So you're kind of like on this treadmill that's on full force, and you're just go, 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 go. And stopping it, taking a moment and going, where am I actually going with this?
Yes.
And what can I do differently to make, to manage your time as well as everything else. But that is brilliant for anybody who hasn't done life I mean, I am literally, if you knew me, the last person in the world that should be saying this. It just wouldn't have been something I ever thought.
I wasn't expecting you to say that.
No, I never thought it was.
I have to get the name of her afterwards.
But it's like, it is just taking a moment to go, what do I do? What exactly? I'm sure all industries are the same. You don't recognise what it is you do every day and what you can do and how you could maybe move that to a different area of business if you so wished to get out of media. Where could you bring that? What tools do you have that come naturally to you that other people don't have? Recognising that, and also then looking to your personal life and going, oh, hang on a second. Am I giving a bit too much time here to work? Am I not giving enough? Do I want to give another little bit to my personal life, to home life, to those sort of things? And it is really good. It just repositions you in the world, I think.
So I think you would you and your story and your arc, I think you would challenge this idea that crime doesn't pay. But broadly speaking, does crime pay?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly pays me, but it isn't. None of it comes easy. I work hard at everything I do. I enjoy everything I do, which is probably more important, really. Does crime pay for the criminals? probably for a while, but there's definitely not a huge longevity or no retirement in it, I don't think.
Nicola Tallant, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.